Welcome to this transformative session where we dive into a deep and enlightening exploration. Today marks the initiation of a journey into the depths of our consciousness with a critical declaration: the act of feeling surpasses the mere act of thinking in power. I invite you to journey through the vast sea of emotions, discovering their impact on our actions and the incredible events that can unfold in our lives. When our feelings align perfectly with our desires, when we truly immerse ourselves in an emotion with genuine depth, something miraculous happens. The divine, the cosmos, or whatever name you give to that higher power, begins to act. It's as though our most vivid dreams come to life when there's a deep harmony between our thoughts and feelings. This phenomenon is evident in both the spiritual realm and the physical world. It goes beyond simple visualization to include living the emotional experience as if it were currently happening. Remember, the strength of your emotions has the power to turn dreams into reality. We'll delve into this concept and more in this video seminar. I encourage you to watch it in its entirety to grasp its full significance. Please support us with a like on this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions and reflections. Let's begin. Deeply experiencing and authentically embracing emotions carry more significance than mere thought engagement. You might endlessly ponder taking an action without it coming to fruition, yet when you connect with a profound emotion, you feel an undeniable urge to act, as does the divine essence. The essence of all existence comes to life through emotion. Mere contemplation of numerous possibilities does not compel one to act. An emotional conviction deeply rooted holds more sway than any thought could. Reflecting on the opening passages of the Epistle of James, we're encouraged to seek with steadfast faith. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. Such a person should not expect to receive anything from the divine. Instead, be doers of the word, not merely listeners, deceiving yourselves. For if one only listens and does not act, they are like someone who looks at their face in a mirror and, upon walking away, immediately forgets what they look like. However, if one acts on the word and not just hears it, by adhering to the perfect law that gives freedom and perseveres, such a person will be blessed in what they do. How does one move from merely listening to acting? By acting in faith. The central figure of the scriptures, Jesus, placed no limits on God's love or the power of faith. All his miracles were prefaced with "according to your faith." This includes emotion as well. With faith, action follows, and through action, the divine works within us, for God is our ultimate imagination, forever known as I Am. It only comes into being when we believe it to be true, even in the most tangible way. If I share my dreams with you and you encourage me to pursue them, and for a moment, you imagine the world as it would be if my dreams were realized, then I leave and forget the world's previous state. I am merely a forgetful hearer. But if I act on the word and not just listen, I will persist, or as stated in the King James Version, continue therein with joy, for everything is attainable through the power of the word. Look into a mirror, and you see your reflection, yet there exists another mirror. This mirror is your friends. If they hear your joyful news, their expressions will reflect it. So, believe that your wish is currently fulfilled, feel its reality and truth. Then, let your friends witness you in that state. They are your living mirrors. Maintain that state and do not quickly forget your reflection. Tonight, walk through the door as the person you wish to become. Even if the external world denies it, you've seen the reactions on your friends' faces and internally heard their congratulations. With faith, hold that feeling deeply and persist in it. Create a living reflection of friends and acquaintances who have heard your joyous news and accept it as lasting. See your reflection in them. If they love you, you will see empathy, they will rejoice in your success. Continue in that consciousness and do not lose sight of what you've seen in your living mirror. If you persist, you will be blessed as mentioned in the first chapter of the book of Psalms. Blessed is the one who delights in the Lord's law, the perfect law of freedom, for in all their endeavors, they prosper. You are not truly free from your past until your friends' faces reflect what you wish them to see. If you've moved beyond a state of poverty, illness, or weakness into wealth, health, or strength, and your friends are aware, you've transcended your former limitations. Thus, by adhering to the perfect law of freedom and persevering, you will find blessings in all your pursuits. Speaking from personal experience, this approach works. However, we are the operative power, it doesn't work on its own. You may have heard of this law or read about it, but have you confirmed its effectiveness through personal experience? Have you put it to the test? If so, you can speak with newfound authority. I assure you, by applying this law, you will find liberation. During my time on the small island of Barbados, which was serviced by only 2 small boats connecting it with hundreds of nearby islands, I committed to delivering a series of lectures in Milwaukee by May 1st. Upon contacting the travel agent, I was informed that due to the limited passenger capacity of the ships departing from New York and Boston, no tickets were available until September 1st. Despite being placed on the waiting list, my hopes were not high due to the long queue. After hanging up, I sat in my hotel room, closed my eyes, and visualized myself on a ship heading to New York. I imagined being accompanied by 8 to 10 family members, with my brother Victor holding my daughter. I felt the ship's motion beneath my feet. Without a reserved cabin, I remained on deck, touching the railings, feeling the sea salt on my hands. Then, I looked towards the small island with a sense of nostalgia. I repeated this visualization several times, immersing myself in each sensation on the deck, the damp wood, the smell of the sea. Once the actions felt natural, I stopped concentrating. The next day, I received confirmation for a ship that would take me to New York a week before my engagement in Milwaukee. Inquiring how the agent secured the ticket, he explained a cancellation in New York had occurred, and the only person on the Barbados waiting list found the timing inconvenient. Thus, he could accommodate my wife, our daughter, and me in a cabin, allowing us to embark. The reasons behind the New York cancellation, the Barbados individual's scheduling conflict, or why the agent didn't contact others on the waiting list remain unknown to me. I only know that I secured the reservation I had visualized. I've recounted this story before, and once, an audience member remarked, "That was somewhat selfish of you. You might have caused someone else's trip to be cancelled." However, as I responded then, this was the sole selfish act I committed, for I adhered to the Christian principle of fulfilling God's law. The manner of its fulfillment was beyond my concern. I was informed that whatever I desired, if I merely believed I had already received it, it would be mine. God does not instill a desire in the human heart without already fulfilling it. This applies to all worldly desires and the ultimate desire, the longing for God. If you earnestly seek an encounter with God, apply this principle. Do as I did when I yearned to leave Barbados for America. I studied the perfect law of freedom and persevered. God does not prescribe one law for worldly desires and another for seeking Him. It is the same law. If you've had the experience I describe, you would eagerly share it with others. It is an overwhelming desire. Or are you pursuing something else first? Perhaps you wish for a beautiful home, financial security, or material wealth before seeking an experience with Christ. If so, that is secondary. Then, refrain from attempting it. But if an experience with Christ is your deepest desire, do not hesitate to test it. Prioritize what matters most to you. If gaining recognition in your work is your foremost desire, apply this principle. Let your thirst for God manifest in due time. When it does, employ this principle. Feel deeply, for what you deeply feel is more significant than what you think. Daily, you might fantasize about how wonderful it would be without taking action. But if you daily immerse yourself in the wonder of the present, it will become your reality. Shakespeare advised, "Assume a virtue if you have it not." A virtue must be felt to be assumed. Tonight, the assumption will be effortless, refraining next week will be even easier. But if you affirm your desire is fulfilled now and persist in that assumption through feeling, it will materialize as a tangible fact in your world. I encourage everyone to practice this. Every desire inherently contains its own fulfillment. It depends entirely on you to quench it. You can fuel your desire by contemplating it, or you can nourish your satisfaction by envisioning its realization. It is God who grants all desires, whether of this era or the next. As He proclaimed in the book of Amos, "I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of God." When you yearn to utter the word of God, Your hunger is not for the word itself, but for the prestige associated with teaching. It is the prominence you seek. This too has been provided. Any desire can be fulfilled if you examine the law of freedom and persist in it. Prosperity will be yours in every venture you undertake. Recently, a man from New York City came to see me. Although I chose not to express my opinions outright, I paid close attention to his story. This individual, having just retired from a career in the field of Eastern antiquities, began to associate with a community group that doubted their leadership skills and was in search of guidance. They suggested he assume the role of their leader. Upon discovering his aspirations, I experienced a slight sense of disillusionment, recognizing his pursuit of recognition. Nevertheless, I sympathized with his longing, particularly as he had grown tired of being overshadowed by a leader who had enriched himself by convincing followers they were buying their way into paradise. It astonishes me how these followers are essentially constructing his ideal world, presenting it to him on a silver platter. They acquired valuable property in New York and erected a building on it. The leader then arranged a grand event at a hotel, where guests paid $50 just to watch the burning of the mortgage they had funded. Yet, the property and the building were registered in his name. In 1943, this leader shared with me his intention to go to New York solely to amass wealth through the New Thought movement. I considered his goal ill-advised at the time. Had wealth been his aim, he would have been better off investing in steel, oil, or coal. These sectors provide a decent income but are unlikely to lead to vast fortunes. Despite this, he sought after wealth and now owns country estates, an apartment in the city, and a magnificent building in New York, all paid for by his followers. The man who came to me had contributed to this project. He has begun to see through the leader's deception, though he has not completely freed himself from it. He still seeks public recognition, which he now views as an attainable goal. I will pray for his success, not in his capacity as an educator, for he is not one, but for the acclaim he will receive from those drawn to superficial teachings, beginning with the abandonment of meat, tobacco, and alcohol, essentially, a life devoid of pleasure. His request does not conflict with my ethical principles, enabling me to wish him well without difficulty. However, I urge you, the earnest seekers, to develop a deep longing, the most profound desire, to know God intimately. If experiencing God is your ultimate goal, apply the same law of liberty. Imagine your friends and declare with conviction and deep emotion that you have lived through the experiences he hesitates to mention, from resurrection to the descent of the dove, all have occurred within you. Persevere, for God has satisfied that thirst, and you will find it. Yet, if such a deep longing has not overtaken you and you simply wish for a better life, there is nothing wrong with that. Use the same principle of the perfect law of liberty. Remain steadfast once you have acted. This evening, some of our friends are absent due to Memorial Day, but I assure you, no time is more holy than another, nor is any place on earth more sacred. The ground you stand on is sacred because you are there. Today, many people observe Memorial Day, paying tribute to the deceased by decorating graves that no longer house their loved ones. This morning, just before I woke up, I saw my brother Lawrence. Though he died at 62, looking aged from his trials, this morning, he appeared to be only 23. We were both fully aware, and he asked me to tell his wife that the money he left was meant for her to use, not to save for the children. I said, "Lawrence, there's no need for you to communicate through me to speak to Doris. Moreover, she wouldn't spend a penny, she never has. Do you think she would start now? Her main worry is that you didn't divide it equally among your 4 children." But there I was, with Lawrence. He was strong, energetic, and glowing, his blonde hair and brown eyes as vivid as ever. He retains the intelligence he had in life. Now revitalized, he remembers the family he left behind. The barrier is just as transparent to him there as it is to us here. Only those who have awakened can consciously cross that barrier. Now, I can easily transition from the realm of dreams to spiritual awakening and reunite with my friends in that realm. On Memorial Day, while many reminisce about those who have passed, I speak of eternal life. "Let the dead bury their dead and follow me," does not refer to the deceased but to a living, genuine God. I cannot bring myself to visit a grave to place flowers or a flag over something that no longer exists. The body may lie there, but not the spirit. You are encased within the skull, dreaming the dream of your life until you awaken and are reborn. From that moment, you will discover David, who identifies you as God the Father. Then, you will divide and ascend to the Holy of Holies. Born within that skull, you will complete the drama and recognize your unity with the only living God. The story of Isaac and his two sons is told in Genesis chapters 25 and 27. Esau, the elder, was hairy, in contrast to the smooth-skinned younger son, Jacob. Blind, Isaac called for Esau, requesting that he hunt for their meal. Overhearing this, Jacob disguised himself with Esau's skins and presented the meal to his father. Isaac, doubtful upon hearing Jacob's voice but eventually persuaded by the feel and smell, gave his blessing to Jacob. When Esau returned, it was too late. Isaac said, "Your brother may have tricked me, but my blessing on him remains unchanged." Once the sensation is embraced, it is released and cannot be taken back, for prayer is the subjective embrace of an objective hope. Picture giving your hope an objective reality. Hair represents the most tangible part of a person. Pull your hope so close that you can sense its physical presence. Embrace that sensation, and you have assumed the reality of Esau. The external world may not reflect your feelings immediately, but your desire has been set in motion, irrevocably. You have bestowed your blessing on a subjective state, making it objectively real. Now, it must materialize for you to receive blessings in all your pursuits. Without giving your subjective hope a tangible reality, you will not succeed in realizing it. Feel the fulfillment of your desire. Jacob represents your wish, waiting for the cloak of external reality. Embrace that sensation, and you have wrapped Jacob in Esau's tangible reality. Trick Esau, affirm the eternal truth of your desire, and impart your blessing, subjectively embracing your objective hope. Who is the blind Isaac? It is you, for you cannot see in your external world what you are seeking. It remains a hope, and you are blind to it. Yet, when you envelop yourself in the satisfaction of fulfillment, consuming it day and night, your desire will, through unknown means, manifest in your world. This story highlights the power of emotion. Isaac called Jacob closer for a kiss. The word translated as kiss means to ignite, to make contact, reflecting an emotion, an intense sensation. Reality is grasped through touch. To feel is to connect. To taste is yet another form of connection. The scripture says he tasted death for us all. How does one taste death? By experiencing it. Jesus tasted death by dying for everyone, revealing to us our true essence. Now, I urge you to follow his guidance. Simply affirm a subjective state, which stands as your objective hope, confident that it will become a reality in your world. Understanding the transformative power of belief and imagination in shaping our reality is crucial. The story of Isaac, Esau, and Jacob is more than a historical or religious account. It acts as a deep metaphor for our personal journey of faith and manifestation. Just as Jacob disguised himself in Esau's identity to obtain his father's blessing, we too disguise our desires in the fabric of belief and emotion to bring them into our reality. This act of deception is not about being dishonest with others, but a potent means of aligning our inner selves with our outer aspirations. The role of emotion as a catalyst for manifestation extends beyond biblical narratives. It is a universal principle, evident in numerous success stories where individuals achieve their dreams by first fully embodying the emotions and conviction of their realized goals. This approach, similar to method acting, involves immersing oneself so completely in the desired state that the universe is compelled to respond. It is not merely wishing for a change, but becoming the change before it physically appears. This narrative also emphasizes the importance of persistence. Isaac's unchangeable blessing on Jacob, despite being obtained through deceit, highlights the need for constancy in our beliefs. Once we have enveloped ourselves in the sensation of our desires being fulfilled, turning back or doubting those feelings is not an option. The universe, impartial in its response, does not react to our fleeting wishes but to our steadfast belief and the intensity of our emotions. In practical terms, this means living as though our desires have already been fulfilled. It entails speaking, acting, and thinking in ways that are in harmony with our future selves, not our past or present circumstances. This alignment generates a powerful magnetic force, drawing the conditions, individuals, and opportunities needed to turn our envisioned reality into our actual experience. Finally, the journey of self-transformation and manifestation is deeply personal and unique to each individual. What works for one may not work for another. Thus, it is essential to approach this path with openness, experimentation, and introspection, discovering the methods and practices that resonate most deeply with our inner selves. By doing so, we not only bring our desires into existence but also embark on a profound journey of self-discovery and spiritual development. Embrace this practice, and you will be blessed. Pursue with faith, undeterred by doubt, for those who doubt are like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. They hesitate, aware of their current state yet longing for change. Stand firm, shedding your current identity to assume your desired one, for one does not long for what one already possesses. Recognize the marvelous law of liberty, which liberates you, and see your freedom reflected in the faces of your friends. Persist in your belief, and it will manifest. Now, let us welcome the silence.